Hi everyone, welcome back to our Prima Advanced User Forum. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Laura and I'm excited to introduce a brand new feature in Prima that we think is going to make your day-to-day work a lot easier and much more efficient, especially if you're juggling multiple sales orders, suppliers and deadlines. So we're calling it Project Link, and the idea is simple. Instead of managing each order separately, you can now group everything related to a job or a customer rollout under one single project. This means less time chasing information and more time staying ahead of what's coming next. We have Emma on the live chat, so if you have any questions throughout the forum, please let her know in the chat below. And then at the end, as usual, I'll open the floor for questions. So now I'm going to share my screen and show you exactly how this works in Prima and what Project Link actually lets you do. So projects allow you to group everything under one project. Sales orders from your web store, Prima Go, Prima ERP, and even third-party tools like 2020 Giza all in one place. It also allows you to track your orders, purchase orders, and deliveries in real time. This allows all of your employees from sales to purchasing right through to accounting to all stay informed. You can filter on projects throughout areas of Prima, and that lets you stay on top of your orders. You can see what is needed, follow up with suppliers if need be. So one of the main benefits of using projects is so that everyone stays in the loop, which I know is important for a lot of you guys. So by using this new feature, you can have live updates for your team and your customers, so nothing's going to be missed out. So to create a project, we firstly need to start within the company. So if I hop into this company here, so you can see we've added a new button in the right-hand corner called Projects. Simply click into that and then click into New. You then need to give your project a reference, a project name, and you can also give it a description, and you can choose a main contact. Now, it is important to differentiate between your references for your project, and you'll see why a little bit later in the forum. So just make sure of each project within this project lookup a different reference. So you'll see that there is a checkbox here that says active. So when you create your project by pressing the new button, this will automatically be checked as active, and it will stay checked until the project has been fully dispatched and invoiced. However, if a couple months down the line you decide you want to reactivate a project, all you need to do is come back in here and recheck that active checkbox. So now our project is active within the company. We're going to hop into a sales order and I can show you how you can apply the project to that sales order. So when you first open your sales order, as usual, you'll have your summary tab with all your lines that you're going to add to that sales order for this project. If you then hop into the header detail tab, you'll see we've added a new drop-down field called project over here. So if we click into the project, any projects created for this company that are active will show in here, and you simply need to click on the project you wish to add this sales order to and hit save. So now that we've set up the project within the sales order, we can actually search for it within the sales order lookup grid. So if I hop into SOP and then orders, and if let me just take the status out, if we click on to the red filter, you'll see we've added the drop down in here. So if you click into here, this will show all the projects that are currently in Prima for your customers. So you can see it shows the project reference and the company name. So that's why it's really important to differentiate between the references, because it doesn't show the project name, it just shows the project reference and the company name throughout these project drop downs. You can actually drag on this box and you'll be able to see a lot more of your projects, and you can also use the scroll bar So if we search on that one that we've just created, so project 1234 for Laura test, and if we hit search, that project will show. It can also be used in the lines tab. So if you've got a couple different projects for that, a couple different sales orders for that project, you'll be able to see each individual line in here. So if we move in to requirements, you can also now filter on your projects in here. So that allows you to be able to see what items need to be purchased for your project. So what items are in that buying list. So simply click onto the yellow filter and choose your project that you would like to check. So if this time we check KPMG ABC123 and hit search, these are all of the lines that are awaiting to be purchased for that project. This also applies into the purchase order filter as well. So if we go into POP and then orders, if you click onto the yellow bar, this time the project's over here, you can select your project again from the drop down. We'll use that same one. And you'll be able to see your purchase orders that them projects are currently on. So that allows you to keep track of your order statuses, so you can see if them projects are currently awaiting receipt, if they are stocked on pre-book, if they are awaiting acknowledgement from the vendor, or even if they've got no acknowledgement, and then you need to go ahead and progress and follow that up with your vendor. So now if I move into movements and dispatch and over into available lines, you can see we've added a new filter in here for the project. So the drop down again appears in here. So that allows you to select your project and search on any of the items in that project that are currently waiting to be dispatched. So if we choose that same project again and hit search, all of these lines are in that project and are awaiting to be dispatched. So you can then add them to the dispatch note if you wanted to send them for the customer. If we close out of here, you can also filter again in the dispatch lookup on the projects, and that'll allow you to see where about your deliveries are currently up to, whether them items for them projects are awaiting are on outstanding dispatch notes, or whether they are even with your customer if they're marked as dispatched. So if we now move across to invoicing and sales invoices and over to available lines, you can see we've added projects in here in a couple of different ways. So firstly, we have this checkbox to include projects. So when you're searching on all invoices that are awaiting to be, all lines that are awaiting to be invoiced, you can choose to include projects in here. You can actually specify, so if you wanted to choose and look for certain projects, then you can use the drop down here. But we've also added a column into the lookup over here. So if I search for all lines awaiting to be invoiced and I move across, you can see we've added a column now. So you can filter on this if you would like to see all the lines for projects that are currently awaiting to be invoiced. So you simply click on them and then create your invoice. So once all of your items on your project have been marked as dispatched and invoiced, then the project will then be marked as inactive. But like we mentioned before, you can always reactivate that project. Simply go back into the company, click into the projects button, onto the line and click active in the checkbox. So I would also like to show you another helpful feature in Prima that people may want to use alongside their furniture orders, but can also be used on their own on normal orders as well. So in sales orders, you can now invoice a third party. So this will be particularly useful for furniture orders. For example, if you wanted to invoice a third party for an installation charge. So in the sales order header, you can find just below the project that we set up before, there is another drop down called Invoice To. So this will automatically be set as the company default. However, if you click onto the drop down and choose third party company, then a company search is going to populate. So if I pop HON in here, so we want to invoice HON for the lines on the sales order. So this is going to put all sales order lines onto one invoice. However, if you would prefer to only charge some of the lines to a third party or a separate line to a third party because maybe the third party is charging the customer separately, you can actually zero some or all the lines or add an extra line for an install if needed. So if I just show you an example. So we've added the third party as HON. If we go into the summary tab, what you can do is highlight all the lines, click on the set pricing button, zero all the lines out, calculate and apply. Then you would add a free form line. So if we do install, and then we're just going to give that the set cost of $1,000 that we're going to invoice the third party. So we'll save that. And we're going to go ahead and authorize this order. Now, if we hop into the invoice, you can see that the invoice has been created for the third party. The lines have been zeroed out and we just have that one install charge. So that's going to go ahead and conclude today's forum. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'll open things up for a Q&A in just a moment, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat or unmute yourself if you'd like to ask something. Just as a quick reminder, we'll be sending out a recording of today's session later this afternoon so you can review it or share it with your team. If you have any follow-up questions after today or want any help setting up a project for your own database, just reach out to our support team. Thanks for spending your time with us and we hope you have a lovely weekend.